So I don't know about you guys, but I've been having a lot of fun watching my favorite YouTubers fight about whether OpenGate on cameras is overrated. And I'll say this. I was an OpenGate hater for a while. For those of you not familiar with what OpenGate is, basically, I'm gonna probably describe this slightly wrong, and someone will correct me in the comments. But basically, OpenGate is you can shoot with like a 3:2 aspect ratio that uses more of the sensor, and you can crop vertical or 16:9 video out of it, or you can share it as a 3:2 like big kind of squarish image. And the debate is whether or not it's overrated. My take is that it's strictly a use case kind of situation. Like if you're a commercial videographer or someone who gets hired to do specific types of videos that like a business requiring, oh, I want 16:9, but I also want a vertical version for social media, then yeah, it's very valuable. I no longer do that kind of thing, but I could see the value in that. None of my cameras here that I'm going to talk about today are capable of doing such a thing. I did order one little camera that kind of does it, and we'll talk about that in the next video. But for today, we're going to talk about what I take with me when I go to Disneyland with the family. And for the past 3 or 4 years or so, we've been doing an annual trip to Disneyland. And as a videographer, or retired professional videographer that just does video for fun, I've been slowly trying to perfect my ultimate like convenient travel kit that I feel like will get me the most high quality footage, cinematic footage if you will, but not take away from the experience of being at Disneyland with my family. And I really have tried to make it so that in addition to the equipment that I have, to set them up properly and rig them up so that I can quickly get shots and not take myself out of the moment. So the first camera I'll talk about is actually the one I'm shooting on right now. This is my Sony ZV-1, the original that came out in like 2019. When we took our first trip to Disneyland, this was the camera that I took. In addition to, I think like a GoPro 10 or 11, which when I went back and like looked at my footage and edited the footage from that trip, I don't think I used any of the GoPro footage because it was just trash. But the ZV-1 footage, I mean, I got some really good footage from it. That's kind of surprised me actually, considering it's a 1-inch sensor camera. It does have built-in ND filter, 24-70 lens, does pretty decent in low light for being a 1-inch sensor. And that's why I still bring it with me, is because it went from being like my vlog camera that I can point at myself and, the family, to being more of a B-roll camera that gives me a little bit of reach. Like if I want to get a close-up of cast members that are in a parade that's a little farther away, I can punch into 70 millimeters and get a little more compression in the image and get different shots. But one more thing before I move on to the next camera, the reason I stick with the original ZV-1 and not the ZV-1F or the ZV-1 Mark II is that it has optical stabilization in the lens in addition to the active stabilization. I mean, yes, the active stabilization does come with a big crop, but now that I have these other cameras that I'm going to talk about, the 24-70, which ends up being like a 30 to like 85 or something with the active stabilization, it actually comes in handy because, like I said, I get a little more reach and I can get more creative shots with it. Let's move on to the next camera. And, when you're going to a theme park, when you're going to Disneyland or, Universal or whatever, you want to bring an action camera. And this is my Action 5 Pro. I picked this up last year. And I really like this camera. Not too good in low light. It is better than previous generations in low light. So the Action 5 Pro, I was able to get pretty decent shots on rides and getting establishing shots walking down like Main Street. And it's a really good image as long as there's enough light. And the reason for that is because you need to maintain a pretty high shutter speed for the electronic stabilization to work properly. And I found that you have to have the shutter speed bottom out at 1/200 in order to not get like stabilization artifacts in the background, that little wobble you see. Which is why I don't use an ND filter on the action camera, because you need the higher shutter speed for the stabilization. So that's just something that you have to deal with when you shoot video with an action camera. I did mod this a little bit with this Amazon. Oh shoot! It's okay, it's an action camera. I modded this with the Amazir cage, kind of gives it a little more protection, and a KNF Concept 1/4 mist filter, which kind of cuts the sharp digital quality of the image. It kind of helps to bloom the highlights a little bit and make it a little more cinematic, you know, to match the cinematic atmosphere that is Disneyland. Not to mention that I have a 1/4 mist filter on the ZV-1 and all the cameras that I'm going to be talking about today. The next two cameras I'm going to talk about here, I say two because they're kind of the same, but I have two of them. And I'm going to talk about why I have two. So this is the DJI Pocket 3, and this is the Extra Muse. Now some say those are not the same cameras. I say they are. They're from two different brands, but they are basically the same camera. And if you're wondering why am I bringing two? I'll explain. Let's talk about the Pocket 3 first of this pair. And I have it in this Tilta case that I talked about in the previous video. I really like this protective case here. So the Pocket 3 is rigged up with the KNF Concept base with the PGY Tech quick release. And mounted to the lens is, if I can get the focus on it, is a KNF Concept 1 to 5 stop mist ND filter. So it has that 1/4 mist to bloom the highlights and cut the digital sharpness, but it also has a 1 to 5 stop ND filter. So when I'm shooting in the daytime, I don't have to crank my shutter in order to keep the exposure correct. Because with the f2 lens on this, you can't change the aperture. So the only options you have for exposure compensation are the ISO, well, the exposure compensation you can if you're in auto, and putting an external ND filter on to cut some of the light so that you don't have to have, I mean, it's not going to cut it enough to get like 180 degree shutter, but it's enough to not make that shutter speed super crazy and have all your footage all jittery. So this is the daytime. Pocket 3, daytime. No filter changes needed. For nighttime, we have the Extra Muse in a different color Tilta case. Same base, same quick release, but on this one, we have a just a quarter mist, just a mist, no ND. So this is for nighttime. So you save that one stop of light that the Pocket 3 has. I thought about just having the one and just dealing with the fact that you lose one stop of light if you didn't want to take that filter off. But this thing was such a good deal at $419 that I just picked it up as my nighttime Disneyland camera. And with these little sensor cameras, you kind of need all the light you can get. So having just the quarter mist on there ensures that I'm getting the maximum amount of light into the sensor. And if you've never been to Disneyland, or if you have been to Disneyland but you never shot video there, it gets pretty dark at night. There's some paths along there where there's some ambient light and, you know, lights from like decorations and theming, but it's pretty dark, and so you need all the light you can get. So that's the Pocket 3 Muse combo, daytime, nighttime. Just pull out whichever one you want to use for the moment. Okay, now let's get into power for all these devices. My wife has this big power bank that I think she's using it to do work on her computer. So I can't show you that, but it's just a big power bank. I recommend bringing a big power bank, probably 20,000 milliamp hours, doesn't matter which one. Just get one so you can power your devices. Okay, let's talk about power for the ZV-1 first of all. I got this little case here. It holds 3 of these tiny ZV-1 batteries that everybody's familiar with. If you've shot with like the RX100 series of cameras, you know about these tiny little batteries, and this nifty magnetic closure charging case charges 3 of them, and I got 1 in the camera, so you got 4 batteries to last you. Okay, so for the action camera, another little case here, holds 2 batteries, nice and easy, USB-C just like the other one. And then for the pockets, these guys I usually will just plug it in with like a USB-C cable into the power bank. I also have this thing that came with the Pocket 3. That gives it a little more juice if you want to attach this to the camera. What else? Oh, I forgot about this. So this is the DJI Mic 3. I mentioned this in a previous video. I just bought 1 transmitter, and I will bring it. I may or may not use it, but I bring it because it's so tiny. It doesn't take up any space in the bag, and maybe I might want to do a little talkie like off in the corner talking about what we're doing for the day. So I bring it because it doesn't take up space. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about is this PGY Tech Mantis Pod. I think this is the Mantis Pod 2, which it's a little different head than the 1. I had the 1, but it broke. You can hold it like for vlogs and stuff, but you can also flip out the legs like this and just basically, it's a tripod. It's a little tripod. And on all these devices, I have the ability to attach them to this tripod with the PGY Tech base plate. I have a base plate that attaches to the bottom of this too, that I can stick on this. And so it's just 1 tripod to rule them all, basically. Because I'm only going to be shooting with 1 camera at a time, so really only 1 camera needs to be on the tripod at a time. And speaking of Disneyland, it's important to note what type of tripod you bring, because the thing about this tripod is it does not extend. The one that the ZV-1's sitting on right now, that Ulanzi MT16, it does extend, and when you get to the security check and they search your bags, they will pull out your tripod and they'll go like this, because they want to make sure that it doesn't extend. And the reason for that is they're afraid somebody might get on a ride and try to get like that selfie stick view on a ride, and it could hit something, fly off, kill somebody, I don't know. But they will not let you bring in an extendable tripod or a selfie stick. So it's important to have a tripod that just stays as is. Let me think. Is there anything else that I did not mention? Oh! The bag! So, as you can see, all these cameras are very small. So I don't need a whole lot of bag. I don't need a big bag to take all this. There was one time I brought like a full frame camera and a couple lenses, and I regretted it because, for one, I also had this at the time, and I ended up just using this, and my full frame camera just stayed in my backpack and just weighed me down all day. So this is the Peak Design 6 liter. It has way more than enough space for these 4 cameras and the power. And the bottom, I put these 2, it has these 2 loops on here. I can stick my water bottle. You can put your phone in this front. It actually fits an iPad mini, believe it or not. So if I wanted to bring an iPad mini to do some light editing, that can fit in here too. But PGY Tech 6 liter sling, that's the one. And that's about it for this video. I hope this helps some of you out there who are maybe traveling this holiday season and want to take better video that's not like cell phone video, little higher quality with the stuff, but you don't want to take like a real big camera or a serious camera. Like, these things are great. Like, I can get all the good footage I need from all these devices. We are genuinely spoiled in this day and age with image capturing devices, you know, with the Pocket 3, the Muse, Sony ZV-1. Yeah, it's great. It's a good time to be into cameras because you really can't go wrong. So I'll end on this. I appreciate anyone that tunes into this little YouTube channel. I genuinely just do these videos to try to help people shoot better video, capture memories with their family, and that's it. I mean, I'm not trying to make money off of this. I just enjoy making these videos and I enjoy helping people. So I'll end on this. I recommend everybody read this book right here. It's called If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies. Why Superhuman AI Would Kill Us All. Because I hate all this AI content that's been on YouTube. I know that there's a bunch of people out there that are like, oh, it's the future, it's coming whether you like it or not. But I truly feel that it's going to cause us to lose our humanity, and according to this book, it might kill us all. The AI slough is out of control. And not to mention, these data centers that are required to operate AI are using trillions of gallons of water and all this electricity. It's just unsustainable, and I feel like AI is going to cause us to lose our humanity. And especially as someone who is in this creative space that, you know, I make things, it's just a shame that people are leaning on this technology so much and not getting back to what like this was meant to be. And it's meant to be art, and in my opinion, there's no such thing as AI art. Anything that people call AI art is just technology stealing from actual human artists, and that's that. You can agree or disagree with me, but I'll stand 10 toes down on this. I hate AI.